All right, so the 2023 semifinals workouts are all out now, all 7 tests for the individuals. So I'm just going to kind of rip through and give my knee-jerk thoughts of all the tests and what I think the semifinals is going to look like. Okay, so first one we have is test 1, lots of machines and some sled pulling. So on paper, this one kind of looked really boring, and then I thought about it a little more, and it's got the potential to be pretty fun. I still think it might be boring to watch, but it'll be pretty exciting. Probably there'll be a lot of excitement around that last sled drag when we might have some close races. But it's tough to say. The weight of the sled doesn't really matter. It doesn't tell you much because it kind of matters how the sled slides on the floor. So depending on what the floor is, if it's, really sticky rubber, or polished concrete, it's a totally different thing. So those sled drags might be 30 seconds long and they might be, 90 seconds long. So it's kind of hard to guess. I think you've got to be pretty comfortable on the machines. We've never really done echo bike for meters in competition before, so I'm going to play around a bit with that and see what kind of time that is. But I'm excited for this one. I think it's going to be pretty fun. I really we've done hand over hand sled drags in competition a few times in the past, and it's a fun movement. And I think with a really long rope, it can be really challenging. So a 100-foot rope is going to be really, it's going to be tough, I think, for everybody. And then finishing with the ski right into the last pull, going pull, 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 is going to really blow people up. So I think there's going to be some pretty exciting send its at the end there to finish the ski in the last pull. But pretty cool, kind of something we haven't seen at this stage before, and I'm actually pretty excited about that one. I think it'll be a fun way to ease into the competition because it's not, blow your brains out pace right from go. You can kind of settle in and feel out the competition, feel out the workout, and yeah, it'll be an interesting one. I don't think it's going to take as long as the cap is, that's for sure. Test number 2. So this one's kind of interesting. We got lots of new stuff going on. Ring complexes, weighted pistols, weighted burpee get-overs. I don't think this workout needs a ruck bag, if I'm being honest. I think muscle ups with the ruck are, at best awkward, at worst they're kind of dangerous. Depending on if we have a waist strap for that bag, the plate can kind of slide around, and I'm a little worried we're gonna have some people catching plates to the back of the head. It is what it is. Ruck bag, muscle ups, toes to ring, and ring dips. So I guess the order is toe to ring, muscle up, ring dip. So the complexes are going to be slow. It's a lot of time on the rings. I think it's going to be tough for people to do all 3 sets of that unbroken. 1 minute rest isn't a long time, and our arms are going to get pretty blown out doing the burpees at the end too, because that's where you can really separate yourself. So it'll be interesting to see. I think there'll be people who get pinned on the rings, and the ruck bag really messes them up. There will be people who don't struggle really, and there's going to be massive variability in that workout, I think. But again, it's something different. I kind of like doing something new. Normally, we don't see much of that style of work until the games, so it's cool to see it trickle down into the semifinals. I've done workouts with the ruck bag before, doing muscle ups in competition, so I don't mind it. It won't bother me too much. Hopefully, it bothers everybody else a little more than me. But that 3 rounds of the complex 20 pistols and max burpee box jump overs, not jump overs, get overs. I think we'll probably be allowed to use our hands to get over the box, and I mean, we'll see how fast people can move on that box at the end. I think it might look like a fairly slow motion workout. Everyone's going to look like they're moving through mud. But we'll see. Hopefully, nobody gets hurt. All right, third one. Linda, I got to admit, when I saw this one get announced, I was kind of disappointed just because the last time CrossFit programmed this stage of competition completely, they programmed this workout, which is probably why they programmed it. It's like a little homage to that. But it was a fine workout for me back then. I think it will probably be fine again. But I think the dumbbells changes it fairly significantly, and I think the muscle up and burpee workout is going to affect it a little bit as well. So I'll be curious to see what kind of standard we have to hold on the dumbbell bench. If you have to start from the top or the bottom, might make a big difference, but there are a lot more to control. You might see some pretty epic dumbbell yard sales as the workout wears on and fatigue sets in. But Linda's a hard workout, so I don't think anybody's going to touch the times that came up in 2018, just because I think the barbell setup is a lot easier than the dumbbell. But maybe I'm wrong and people will blow my mind. But that's a good workout. It's long enough. It's with lots of weight moving, and it'll be fun. It's pretty steady. It speeds up. It gets hard. It's way more aerobic than I think a lot of people realize. So I don't know. That one's fine, but I've kind of been there, done that. I'm a bit indifferent about it. Test 4-5. So test 4-5, back to back, 6-minute caps, 800-meter run into the 1 rep max snatch, and then a rest, and then some snatches into the 800-meter run. It's a big question mark here is two things. Is it going to be two 100-point events, or are they going to be two 50-point events? Because it's the same movements. Test 4, obviously, your score is more heavily dependent on the snatch, and test 5, it's more heavily dependent on the run. And the other question is, what's the run? It's written as an assault run for test 1, but it's written just run for test 5. So that either means we're going to have a run course to me, or it means we might be doing a shuttle run, just like the shuttle to overhead event at the games. Some quick math will show the distance of that sled pull in test 1 is roughly 25 meters. So if we did, 16 out and backs of 25 meters, that's 800 meters. And, the lines are on the floor. So could be that, which would be pretty miserable. And maybe not as fun to watch either. Hard to follow, I guess. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how heavy people can lift under that kind of fatigue, especially if it's a lot of stop and start. But I think a run course would be cool if they can run an indoor course. It would make that second section epic. Like the jostling in that second 800-meter run would be wild, and it would be something to watch. It'd be a pretty epic finish to the day if we had to really jockey around for an 800-meter run. But there's not much to be said about that one. Run somewhat conservative in part 1, and try to lift as heavy as you can, and then part 2 is full sprint. I think you just have to go pedal to the metal. That's like a 3-minute effort. So you go hard, and then you have a good night's sleep after. All right, Sunday events. Test 6 is a big chipper. Overhead squats, rowing. We've got these handstand pirouettes. We have some seated legless rope climbs and some wall-facing handstand push-ups, then back down. So lots of risk of failure. I mean, we don't know what the L or what the legless rope climb is. I don't think it's an L rope climb up and down, which, reduces the risk a little bit. But lots of strict pulling, some strict pressing, and then you need those shoulders at the end for the overhead squats. And you need shoulder stability and coordination to do those pirouettes on the back end too. So if you're losing it on the back end there, dropping that barbell or failing on the pirouettes a couple times can cost you a ton of time quickly. So, it's delicate. You think you can move through it. There's nothing really, really crazy in there, but I think if it adds up and you start to kind of make some mistakes at the end there, it can cost you a lot. So that's a bit of a risky workout. Lots of shoulder endurance, lots of upper body endurance. So it will be interesting to see at the beginning of Sunday if there's people that are in a position where they need to take some risks, what can happen there, because that's one where you could go for it and take a big swing and look like a genius, or you could look like a fool really fast. So that will be a cool way to start off Sunday. It actually looks like a lot of fun, fairly controlled workout. So I'm looking forward to that one. And finally, test 7. So the last one, 3-rounder, the worst type of workout, 3 short rounds. So there's nowhere to hide. You kind of have to go hard the whole time. 15 cal echo bike, 20 toes to bar, 60-foot sandbag carry. You got to go harder than you want. It looks like it's going to be a pretty big finish. I think, people will probably hang on pretty well on the toes to bar. There might be some strategic drops. I think the last run with the bag, you're going to see kind of like we saw at the Rogue Invitational, where people end up in a foot race with a heavy bag in their hands and they're diving over the line and cartwheeling, and it's going to be pretty epic. So I'm not the biggest fan of seeing the echo bike come up there twice in the weekend, but we're bookending it, event 1 and event 7, with some echo bike in it. And yeah, I think you're gonna you're gonna have to push it pretty hard in test 7 to win it, basically. But, I don't know, it looks like still a pretty fun workout. I think you can weather that 3 bikes. You're gonna hate yourself on the second one, but the last one, you're kinda home free, um, and just try not to melt down. So, overall, it's a pretty fun weekend. It looks like there's some fun new stuff, some fun things to play with. I'm excited to just stop training for it and get out and do it. I probably am looking most forward to tests 1, 2, and 6. So stuff that's got new things in it. I like that sled drag. I like that, playing with the ruck and different things and seeing how people do it that. And all the seated rope climb I think is going to be fun. And that a good chipper like that's just always fun. So uh, the other ones I'll survive, but I'm looking less forward to them. But yeah, so I'm pumped. We're getting our last bit of prep in, and I'll see you guys out there. Bye now.